back to The Road Forward, a podcast for trucking industry leaders. Brought to you by TruckSpy, the all-in-one fleet management platform built to empower your drivers to be productive, compliant, and safe. My name's Alex. We are on episode 39. This is a good one. We're going to have some fun at first, like normal, but let me introduce the guests first. Matt, how are you, sir?
What's up, Alex? Great to be here.
Yeah, Matt is our COO, Chief Operations Officer. And then we also have Flint. Flint is the CEO. How are you doing, sir?
Living the dream, Alex, as always. I'm in a comfy t-shirt. Matt and I are still, Matt more so than I am, still recovering from a trade show in Kansas City, which I think was a big success. It's just, trade show. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I know when we were at 3, I know I got home tired for sure.
Ooh.
So I can only imagine. I think you guys flew in late last night, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Correct.
Cool. All right. Well, I want to start off with a couple of things. First and foremost, obviously, we go to Reddit for all of the fun things, right? That's where we go first and foremost. And I do have a couple of good ones. You guys see my screen. I will obviously put it on in the edit. I will put it on the screen for the viewers to enjoy. But for now, I just want to put it right here on the screen. What we're looking at is a truck driver. So I haven't even explained it, Flint. Yeah. Okay, we got to cue the laughs. Okay, we got to have a laugh track. But essentially, a truck driver put on his wind fairing, I believe is what it's called, cat food, pointing with an arrow to his diesel tank. Okay, and I saw this. I was like, cat food? That doesn't make sense. But when you look a little closer, it's like the Caterpillar company logo, and so that's why it's cat food, because probably his truck has a cat motor, right? Pretty funny, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even make the connection to the Caterpillar engine for a second. I saw cat food and I thought about all the annoying neighbors and cats that I've had throughout my life, and that's where my mind went.
Matt, did you get it?
I don't get it. I don't get it, dude. Like cat food. What is he trying to kill cats? Like, hey, have your cats. I don't get it.
All right, next one from our friends over at Reddit/truckers. Okay, it's a little bit to continue the cat theme actually as well. So it's a picture of Cat in the Hat. I will drive trucks here or there. I will drive trucks everywhere. Yes, I do have a cat under the hat of my hat. Under the hat of my 59 Mac. It's like, okay,
that's pretty good.
Okay. All right, Matt, funny? No, Cat in the Hat fan.
That's cool. It's cute. It's cute. It's cute, is what it is. It's funny. I don't know about funny.
I mean, this
cute,
truck, you can see the frame is red. Everything is color coordinated and painted. Like this guy probably spent a ton of money on this truck.
I just love the idea of this big burly trucker coming out of here, just so proud of his cat in the hat, tractor here.
Right. And then last but not least, a little bit of, Flint, maybe this is the perfect company. I know you talked about it last week, who you'd want to buy, something where owner operators couldn't get in. So this person took a picture probably at a truck stop, 14 tires on the truck, and look at that trailer. My goodness, that's 7 axles on the trailer.
That's some Mad Max stuff, right?
Yeah,
there.
this is exactly what I was talking about, right? Like, not anybody can come and compete with you. Who has a quad axle tractor? Who has one of these trailers? How do you get one of these trailers? Like, not just any Tom, Dick, and Harry can come and play in your space here. And they probably could come and play in your space with a normal set of equipment, but you would be so much more efficient, right? Because you're hauling probably double. I mean, I don't know in Utah, I don't remember. I know in Wyoming you can run like 140,000 pounds or something. So you're probably hauling roughly 2 normal truckloads of cargo in that.
But I saw this, I was like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of axles.
So he's not going very far with that. It's just a day cab there, if I'm seeing that.
Yeah, he's hauling crude oil, right? He's just going out to these remote oil wells, pulling their crude oil, bringing it back to the pipeline. Probably a nice little 30-mile round trip.
And so, the comment says we call these centipedes used to haul crude oil in Utah. So interesting picture. But I want to kick it off. I know me and Matt were talking just briefly about it right before the show. Sometimes things go viral, and they go viral maybe for not the best reasons. Usually it's just a fun trend. But in this situation, it went viral for a girl on TikTok was discussing the Amazon cameras. And we just want to do a quick reaction because Matt obviously is an expert in cameras and safety. This has been his livelihood for the last 10 years or so, right, Matt?
That's correct. I may have been.
And so she posted a couple of TikToks, and we just want to go through some of these TikToks, or two of her TikToks. Okay, all right, you guys, you haven't seen this, so this is gonna be a live.
I'm coming in completely cold. I'm not really a TikTok dude, so
let's set this up a little bit. So Amazon's using the driver eye camera. That's also what Trucks By uses. So it's what we sell. It's what we've integrated into our platform. Amazon may or may not, we don't know, have a special build on the firmware. But I think in watching this, there could be a few misconceptions about exactly what's going on with the driver eye here. So I think it'd be interesting to take a look and see what she's talking about.
We're like 5 goats in here that just went absolutely insane.
I don't understand how it could be that dirty. But people ask about the camera vans and how we are tracked, right? That little guy is how we are tracked. It's probably recording me recording it, but it can't hear me, so that's nice. So it has one camera facing me, one camera facing forward, and then one camera on each side.
Yep.
The one camera in front tracks how close we are to other drivers.
I was just going to say that right now she's factually correct. It's got 4 cameras. So she's on the money right now. I think she's about to.
I noticed though, Matt, when she went to the photo of the camera there, we're obviously stopped recording a TikToker. And so, but the light, the inward facing light was turned on the camera, which means Amazon's probably not running privacy.
Yeah, we've made videos, Flint, me and you, like where we obviously we highlight our privacy feature. And this was what Matt was mentioning in the beginning, that they might be running something custom here, or they might have that disabled. Because ultimately,
yeah, they may just have to. I mean, we can disable it, right? But we very rarely do. But yeah, you can disable privacy mode on
right.
this.
Okay. Let's continue. So up until now, everything looks good. They have the 4 camera system, 2 views to the left and the right, and then 1 forward, 1 back, right? So let's continue.
Other drivers, and if we stop at stop signs. So if we don't stop at a stop sign, like fully stop, then we get a violation for that. It tracks our speed, so we cannot go more than 6 miles per hour over the speed limit, or we get a speeding violation. These vans also track our buckle count. So it'll count how many times we buckle our seatbelt. And
okay, that might be another technology connected to the signal so that's, I don't think the camera itself that would be tracking the buckling and unbuckling. The driver eye can sense if you don't have your seatbelt on, but the native technology, as far as I'm aware, that's not tracking you clicking that seatbelt in and out. So if there is such a thing, that could be a separate technology.
Yeah. But she may just be not understanding too, Matt, that the camera's actually doing that via video, right? It's looking for you wearing your seatbelt. She may just not understand it's not actually. I don't even know, light duty vehicles, in my experience, very rarely emit seatbelt signal over the ECM. I mean, the dinger goes off if you don't have your seatbelt on, right? So obviously that's wired up. But in our experience, we don't really see very many CAN bus emissions of seatbelt.
People just assume, like drivers that have these dash cameras, not just the driver eye, but any dash camera, they seem to assume that it does a lot more. It's capable of a lot more than it actually is, right? So these things are working like the driver eye. There's a very specific group of alerts that it's trained to track on, but it's not like this sentient AI that it's going to take over the world or spy on you and transcribe your thoughts, right, while you're driving, so that if you're thinking about, say, a product, it's going to show up on the Amazon store or something. It's not doing anything like that.
Right. So yeah, but basically to wrap up the past thought is if they have a technology that actually checks if you're buckled, that's something different than the camera. But really, the AI might be noticing that she's not wearing her seatbelt, and it's like, hey, last time I checked, I think the statistics are in her favor, which is when you wear a seatbelt and you get into an accident, people are more likely to live. So I'm sorry if we're trying to get you to live, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think she's necessarily complaining about some of the things that are tracking. Right. It doesn't seem like she's necessarily against everything that the camera is doing, right? But it just seems like her idea of what it's capable of is a little exaggerated.
And if we don't buckle it enough, then or we like miss a buckle, then that is a seatbelt violation. But also that camera is watching me while I drive, so I cannot do a lot. If I want to sip up my coffee, I have to pull over so that I can grab it and drink it, because if I do it while I'm driving, then that's a driver distracted.
Pause it.
Which is also a violation.
Was it? Yeah. So that's the thing where the driver, as far as the build that I'm familiar with, it is not just instantly going to ding you for a distraction the second you grab your cup and take a sip of it. It does require a sustained amount of time to be distracted. So she's likely more distracted when she's, taking a sip from that coffee than she thinks. So her eyes are probably off the road for a good amount of time. The eyes keep glancing down as she's sipping. She's more focused on that cup than she might be aware of. So that's where she would get that distraction when she's sipping a coffee.
So the act of actually picking up a cup of coffee and drinking it is not a distraction. But most people probably don't realize when they're like, oh my goodness, this coffee, it's so good. And there goes 4 seconds that you didn't look at the road.
Yeah, we all have experiences like that with coffee.
Definitely. As a delivery driver myself, that first cup of coffee was just so beautiful. So she's likely glancing away from the road constantly as she's sipping. She's more distracted than she thinks, because it's not just sustained amount of time looking, but if her eyes are constantly looking away from the roadway and not intent on what's happening in front of her, she would get that distraction.
All right, let's continue.
I can't touch the center console, or else that is a driver distracted violation. One guy was itching his beard one time, and the camera picked it up that he was on the phone, and so he got a driver distracted violation for itching his face, but they disputed it. And I cannot unbuckle my seatbelt until I am in park.
Okay. Any input on that? So 2 things. She said you can't touch the center screen. That's a driver distraction. And a guy was itching his beard. I mean, obviously some people I've seen in some footage where people kind of do hold their phone like that. So I could see why that could be, misclassified as talking on the phone. But like she said, it got, obviously the person fought that and it was removed. Awesome. But any input on the fact that you can't touch your center screen, Matt?
Well, I bet you with the beard thing, that sounds like something that could happen. It's really the camera is trying to behaviorally understand what the driver's doing. So the act of doing this, and if the driver was sustained with that, I could see the AI thinking that is the act of talking in a handset, for instance. So no AI no software is going to be absolutely perfect, right? No system will be 100% perfect all the time. It will make a few misinterpretations. But what was the second thing on touching your screen? Again, that's likely the eye level. Yeah, so the camera is tracking the eye level and where it is. So if your eye level is dropping consistent or periodic or frequently within a span of 6 seconds, that could trigger that distraction that she's worried about getting. So again, when you're interacting with that screen, that looked pretty cool. You see how that big Tesla style screen that she had there. I could see you being more intent on that than you might actually think as you're moving down that roadway at 50 miles an hour. So you're covering a lot of ground as you're interacting with that device.
Wow. Okay. All right, cool. And I think that's it for that one. I want to show you, there's another one right here. And this one has how it's a little bit more, but they kind of talk about, she shows how she does a PTI. Okay, a post-trip inspection. She comes back and delivers her vehicle, and so Flint, you might get a chuckle out of this one. But this is the pre-trip inspection from Amazon drivers.
They're so dirty. This is me doing the vehicle inspection real quick. We all do it. Don't come for me.
That was the vehicle inspection? Whoa.
Yeah, just next.
Whoa, that was wicked fast. I almost missed it. I blinked and I missed it.
We all do it. Right. And the concerning part is we all do it. Don't at me. It's like,
whoa.
That's not good.
That is not good. Nope.
Okay, Alex, let's talk. Before we throw this girl totally under the bus, I mean, she's cool, she's candid about everything. And as a delivery driver myself, once upon a time, I get it. You've had a long day, and you just want to get the heck out of there. You had your own vehicles in your business. Did you ever pencil whip a post-trip inspection?
No, of course. Obviously, like I've skipped through my inspections.
I did not. I mean, I might not have written it down like you may have thought I was pencil whipping it if I had videoed me doing it, but I very regularly when I was driving a tractor trailer, not even pre and post, like every time I would stop, I'd walk down one side, up the other, looking at tires, looking at lights, looking at, connection between tractor and trailer. I mean, that my load securement, like I check my straps are tight. That shit ain't no joke, boys.
Driving a Sprinter, you're just like, I mean, what could have gone wrong with it at the end of the day, right? I don't remember hitting anything, so let's just get the heck out of here, go home and get some Wendy's or something. Just gotta get the heck out of here. So I don't know. I'm not gonna crush her for this, but
Right. I agree. And so, right. And we're not being harsh. And I think that's the main difference is obviously I had flatbeds too. And so I've had loads fall off my trailers. I've had drivers where loads fell off their trailers. A load falls off your trailer one time and never again. Because then you're paranoid. That's it. You become super aggressive. Like, do I have enough straps? Do I do like it's stuff like that? And then also like with blowouts, it's like the main reason, the number one cause of blowouts is not enough tire pressure. And then, so every time you stop to fill up, whether it's once or twice a day, you're walking around the tires, checking them for pressure because you don't want another blowout 2 hours up the road. So certainly, I think with a Sprinter van like they're using this, like obviously, I could see why maybe you don't need to be so diligent. And also, like, I mean, what is she? 18, 19, 20-year-old girl? Like, what does she know about? Oh, did you check your oil? Like, I didn't see the questions in depth in there. Obviously, you could pause the video and see what questions they were asking. But it's like, I mean, does she even know what a proper?
Yeah, and that stuff on a Sprinter van is probably not critically important. Like I don't check the oil in my personal vehicle very often. So.
Yeah, that's what the little lights on the dashboard are for. When something's wrong, just fire one of those up.
Right.
And then ignore it. You just got to cover that up with something if it does fire it up.
But we can move on from here. Flint, I want to go to you. You saw something in, I think you got the magazine. You showed it earlier. You got a magazine from Transport Topics. What did you see in it?
Yeah, I have the printed edition. Let me see if I dropped it on the floor as we started chatting. But yeah, I get the printed edition because we are ATA members. So yeah, positive marijuana test among drivers grow 32%. I thought this was an interesting article. Basically, it continues to say that the top four drugs, marijuana, cocaine, meth, and amphetamines, make up why drivers fail drug tests. And of these, let me just use the paper version because what am I, 75 years old here? But of these marijuana out of services, so there were 165,000 out of services in January, and 120,000 of those drivers just chose not to do or not to begin a return to work process. So, if you test positive, there's a whole return to work process you have to go through. And of those 160,000, 120,000 of them just said, I'm just not going to worry about it.
Wow.
Meaning I'm not going to drive.
Wow. That's a lot.
They're choosing drugs over their career. they're saying screw it. I need the drugs more than the job.
Or they moved on to another employer, right, who doesn't check that stuff because there's a whole bunch of trucking companies that are probably hiring people and not doing proper background work. But I choose the marijuana over my driving career. I also think it's interesting because I Googled this after reading this article. Alcohol will stay in your system for 24 hours. If you do a urine test, you can see traces of alcohol for 24 hours. but marijuana is 72 hours. So like that's a pretty big difference. So as marijuana is getting legalized around the country and it becomes a recreational drug, kind of like alcohol is, like the laws are very unclear, right? Because a truck driver, like you can go on Saturday, have a few beers, that's completely legal as long as you're not intoxicated when you go back to work, right? It's been, I forget, 24 hours or 12 hours or whatever the number is. Where marijuana, I could smoke a little doobie on Saturday. What is it, Matt? 24?
Isn't it?
24 hours? Okay, thanks.
4 hour bottle to throttle.
Oh, yeah, 4 hours. Okay, 4 hours bottle to throttle.
Well, I think you're also supposed to be at .02.
Okay, well, anyway,
there's
the
also
point
like
is like
how drunk you could be, or I guess how much can be in your system. So I think it's 4 hours bottle to throttle. So you can't have a sip in that 4 hours. Plus, you need to be at .02 or less BAC.
Good. Well, thanks for filling that in. But evidently, marijuana is a totally different ballgame, right? Because if it shows up in your urine test at all, you failed your drug test. That's the point I was trying to make. Is like, I could go smoke some recreational Mary Jane on Saturday, show up on Monday to drive, and fail my drug test.
Yeah, and if you scroll down in this article, you can see the thing that Flint mentioned, which is it's a problem, and it's interesting too because obviously we see that depression is on the rise in trucking. It's actually like twice as high as like normal for like people that don't drive truck, I think. And so so if you're depressed as a truck driver, please don't turn to drugs just so you can get out of your job. You know what I mean? Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know, but it is concerning nonetheless that so many truckers are testing positive. And on top of that, they're choosing not to complete the return to work process. That's and maybe the shortage. I don't know. I keep hearing driver shortage. I don't know if there actually is one, but maybe that shortage will be even more exasperated, I guess. I don't know. But moving on, I want to talk about, I saw an interesting article in FreightWaves about some technology, okay? I don't know if it's technology in search of a problem to solve or it's technology that is that found a problem. So on FreightWaves, it says, ArcBest touts system for loading, unloading trailer in one motion. So you guys see the picture on the screen right here, and it's this. So essentially, it's this. You got this forklift. In front of the forklift is a little green attachment that can move this blue and orange shelf. And what happens is it's a 26-foot long sled. So imagine like it's like one big pallet essentially. And so then they just load that thing up into your truck, I think. And then they could just pull it right out. And then from there, forklifts from either side can unload it. And then they can load it back up and slide it back in. It basically, I think is how that works. Obviously, Flint, you're an engineer. What are your thoughts on this system?
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty neat. I mean, you'll have to buy those.
Okay,
right?
This would save. This is a great idea. It would save a lot of injuries of people having to get into the trailer to load it, right? And things falling on them and stuff like that. So this is cool. This is awesome.
Right, but here's the question, right? Because let's say you're in the market, you're a warehouse business, and you're in the market for some technology that can maybe save you some money and streamline, loading and unloading. I've watched several truckers on YouTube, and one guy actually said, like, I was loaded completely by AI-driven forklifts. So the forklift is completely operated. There's no driver in the forklift, and it loaded all of the pallets into his trailer, 1, 2, 1, 2, like it's supposed to do. Apparently, because depending on the weight of the pallet. But at that time, it loaded it 1 in the front, 2 behind it, 1 in the front, and then 1, 2. So, but it loaded it completely. So the question goes like, well, what kind of cost will this be relative to just completely getting rid of your forklift driver at all, and just using the AI, like the computer vision systems to automated forklift driver to load it, and that's why in the beginning I said, like, is this in search of a problem or is this actually solving a fundamental problem? I'm unsure.
Yeah, the only challenge that I see here is this probably works really well if you own both sides of the chain. If you're loading at your facility and then you're unloading at your facility, otherwise you're gonna have to figure out how to get these things back, right? Which I think might be a little bit of a challenge.
Right. That's a good point. That is true. So if like you're transferring from one warehouse to the other, this might make total sense instead of doing a entire warehouse build with where the robots need special areas to drive on.
And probably like this thing probably makes a lot of sense for your LTL guys. I mean, think about if you're FedEx Freight or Saia or one of these guys. I mean, you're always in and out of your terminals. Your loads are now secure because all that freight, I think, generally runs pretty light. So you actually want to stack it up. And like this lets you do that in a secure, safe way.
Right. Yeah. It seems like it's more for the LTL guys because like obviously you can look at those pallets. There's like barrels on it and other cardboard things, and one's a little higher, one's a little lower. So it's going to be interesting. It just goes to show you that, this is why the podcast is called The Road Forward. Okay. Because we're keeping an eye out what technology is doing, where the industry is headed as a whole. And so if you appreciate it, we appreciate a like and a subscribe. That can be our agreement. If you appreciate our pod, then we appreciate likes and subscribes. And on that note, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. We're looking forward to the comments down below, and we will see you next week.